Beautiful day to have a beautiful day. And today we are celebrating Melanin Day Festival style with a State of the Culture panel discussion featuring author David Bronson and his most recent book, I See You Brother, as our tipping point to set off our trajectory of awakening balance. This awakening balance is it's an internal affair to be clear. We're going to start with it as an internal affair as we balance our inner masculine and feminine energies. We are all made up of masculine and feminine energies. When we learn to appreciate this inside, then we'll be more positioned and able to appreciate and embrace the same in others. And it is my hope that today we will discuss solutionizing this gender war, because it's come to the point now where people are fighting just to be fighting, and they have no idea what they're fighting for. They're truly just fighting themselves. So to start us off, David Bronson's book, I See You Brother, I'm going to pin his visual now so that you can see the book, I See You Brother. It is such an important, just the declaration of the title is important, because for the most part, our men need to be seen. Need to be seen, need to be heard, need to know that they are not just seen and heard, but they're embraced in the multifaceted, multidimensional realms of their emotional, mental, spiritual, all aspects of self. Women are given a safe space to shed tears, and the word emotional is even used as a slur, when the truth is, if you can't feel anything and you're numb, you're missing out on a very, very, very big part of the human experience. And you're also missing out on the opportunity to have more self-awareness, because emotional intelligence is a thing. And we won't even go into embracing your feelings, fueling your cognitive evolution. We're just going to start right here with the awakening of balance. David, I'd love to hear what prompted you to write this book. And really and truly, I'm excited. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to hear from you. And I'm eager for us to share. Actually, I'm just ready to listen, because I think it's all about the men. I feel like you guys have a lot to say, so I'm gonna mute up so you can say it. Gratitude.
All right. So what sparked the process of I See You Brother was it actually came off the back of me having a bit of a mental breakdown, and I couldn't figure out what it was that was causing it. And, so I went through the entire day and still couldn't figure it out, and no one could really help me to figure it out. So um I just had to stop and had to pray, and that's where I got the answer for the book. You know, it's the feeling of being a failure when you're constantly trying. Nothing's ever coming to fruition, no matter how hard you dream, no matter how hard you work, or all this type of stuff. So, like, it was how I was feeling was stemming from that, right? And it's a common thing for men, and especially black men, where it is no matter if you have a degree or not or whatever, you're still less likely to get employment with someone of another race that have a felony. So it's one of the things where you're fighting against self, but you're fighting the realities of society as well. So it came from my mental breakdown and the and God telling me that I needed to write my feelings basically, right? And put it in a way to where I'm talking to the men and expressing myself, but also helping them to let's see, realize aspects of themselves that they didn't even know. You know, so like inside the book, it covers so many different things from um let's see. My favorite part of the book. My favorite part of the book would be talking about sins of a father, you know, and when normally when you talk about sins of the father, you think about things that he's done in his past that were negative that could come back to haunt him, but we don't often think about just the reality, I mean his experience um in life, what happened to him. And if he didn't take care of the results of that, how he felt, or if he was, you know, like dealing with the police, you know, that same his same fear or his experiences will be passed on if he hasn't dealt with it. And oftentimes it shows up in a negative way. So, like I said, the book covers a lot. It's different stereotypes, spiritual, spiritual, the spiritual aspect of things, and just overall understanding what real happiness is. And it's not about the money, it's not about the girls and all these types of other things, but really just looking inside of yourself and realizing that's where happiness is. So,
So I have a question. How, this is kind of rhetorical, but I really do want you to answer. How necessary do you think this book would have been for you growing up? And what age do you think you would have liked to have access to this book, your book?
okay. Hmm. I think it helped me actually from early on. Um, Seeing like I speak about it in the book, and middle child of five, I'm number three, and dealing with that, trying to kill myself twice before the age of 10. If I would have been able to get a hold of something that would help me navigate those feelings or things of that nature, or just have somebody to talk to, or just to realize that, okay, I'm not the only one that feels this way. I think I could have used this like early, you know. So,
And then my final question, how do you suggest us as women
hmm
introduce this book to the men in our lives that we think need it?
oh,
Yeah,
actually,
because
I never even thought about
we don't want them to feel attacked,
it. Yeah, I would.
or the worst thing is bravado. I think
Yeah,
bravado is the major blocker. How do we introduce this book to the men in our lives that we care about, our brothers, our fathers, our friends, our co-workers?
I would actually say this: get the book for yourself first and read it, and formulate the best way for you to present. Because yes, could it be beneficial for him? Absolutely. But could it be beneficial to you? Absolutely. You're the one that has to deal with it. So why not try to learn how to deal with it? Point blank period. You know, so I think if let's say if you got the book and you read it and you found out things about yourself that probably triggers him, or you know, it's just different aspects of that of what a okay, so what a man is, right? You're let's say for a lot of women they have an idea of what they believe a man is, whether no matter how skewed it is. Um, but in reality, that is a thing that's constant. It's not set in stone. You know, so if a woman got the book and read it for herself and learned more about her partner, I think she could come up with her own idea of presenting it to him.
You just inspired my next question. So, do you think this could be a useful tool for couples to,
Absolutely.
I, I mean,
Absolutely.
it's a bonding tool.
Yes, absolutely. Look, this is one of those things. Look, you started hitting on it with the I was about to say culture wars, but that's a whole other thing. But the battle of the sexes, the gender war. There we go. Even inside of relationships, and I think one of the biggest things is that everybody believes they're in competition with each other, man and woman. It doesn't matter. Everybody's in competition with trying to outdo the next person, which is, you know, there's a healthy way to have that inside of a relationship. It can be healthy, but in other ways, it's a negative thing. And unfortunately, we see a lot of negative ways of competition in a way. But I do believe, like I said, it could be beneficial for couples, because how can you grow inside of a relationship if you're not willing to learn about the partner that you're in the relationship?
That is, I said facts, but I was muted.
Yeah, I
I
saw.
was totally muted. Um, it's amazing. It really is amazing because I gotta bring you back to something else because I don't think you understand how major this is for you. You said they're in competition in relationships and the gender wars are affecting the relationships too. And it's like you don't think that it does because you're thinking the gender wars is for single people, right? But yeah. Would you like to dissect that, please?
Uh, ugh. Okay, let's just go to the monetary side of things. um, I think there's a lot of conversations around money, obviously, especially in relationships. One side supposed to make more than the other, or if they're like there's jealousy that comes with a certain amount of money. It's like I said, it's a lot of different conversations that gets I think huh, misrepresented.
Mm,
Especially look, I'm gonna
that's
say
a
this,
good word,
right?
misrepresented.
I say it sometimes, not all the time, because I think a lot of men will agree. There's a lot of women that don't really know what they want, right? Because now, just hear me out. Of course, they want someone that makes a lot of money, but at some point, there is a sense of not with everyone. Let's not generalize. I'm not generalizing. In some cases, a sense of okay, you're doing all of this, but I'm losing myself, or um, I, man, there's so many conversations in this. Ah, okay. Look, there are people that could hold money, obviously hold money over the partner's head, right? I do this, and this, which cause a whole other issue. Then there's the matter of time, where okay, if I don't have enough time, I'm making money, but if I have enough time, that means I'm not making enough. But like, which one do you actually want me to have? So finding a balance in there, that's a whole other conversation. Um, but look, there's just a lot. I just think everybody needs to like take a second, learn each other, learn what works for you in the relationship, because sometimes what works for you don't work for the relationship. So
Mm-hmm.
it's, I
Which
don't
is
know.
why
There's a
you
lot of
get to know
conversations.
yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
So, question, do you think
Hmm.
this book, I'm gonna use the cliche now, do you think
Hmm.
this book is gonna help? And I say our men, I love to say our men, right? Do you
Hmm.
think it's gonna help our men tap into their feminine side?
Look, so the only way, in my opinion, the only way you can actually deal with, let's say, a feminine woman is actually understanding the feminine aspect of yourself.
Ooh.
You like, you can't, okay, you can't be heavy-handed trying to manage a flower, right? What's
Mhm.
gonna happen? You're gonna crush it. So if the flower represents femininity, you have to be soft in some way to manage that. So yeah,
Well said.
I do believe that, like I said, understanding who you are as a man and creating your definition of that. Like I use the game of chess when talking about relationships, whether like intimate or work or anything like that, and understanding the role of the king is not just to let's say beat down or just hover over people, whatever, but realize that the role of the king is actually to serve the kingdom, which means that in a way you are being submissive in your own right. You know, so the only way for a kingdom to succeed is to be able to one submit to self, I mean submit to those that you are governing, and another is
Mhm.
understanding who you are and not being impulsive. So
Wow, you said a lot. Um, no, this is when I have a vision for something and I don't understand it, and then
mhm.
everything happens to stop the vision from happening, it makes me more stubborn to making sure that the vision becomes a reality. You know, like kind of
Mhm.
any means necessary. So when you bring up all these points that are exactly what I thought this would be about, I just want to say gratitude. And I see that you got something else to add.
Nah, you good.
So before I bring in Sensei, I just want to ask anything like when it comes to awakening balance. For me, balance is something that we're always achieving. You're not just balanced, you're
Hmm.
balancing, So any words to any men out there, especially anyone that actually like picked up your book and shed some healthy tears for the first time, not the tears that they resent and are upset of the fact that the tears happen. I'm talking about healthy tears where you embrace the release and the cleansing of your heart that
Yeah,
comes from allowing yourself to be free to shed tears.
I
Any
would just
words for
say
that man that's now awakening balance for the first time?
I would say just don't allow anybody to tell you who you are, who to be, when to be it, and how to be it. You have to find that on your own. And that's the only way I believe you can actually find balance is understanding yourself and understanding that, you know, things are going to happen. And like you said, like you're constantly finding balance. There's going to always be something that's placed on the other side that's going to tip the scales. So you have to figure out how to get it back to center. You know, so I think that'll be my one of my biggest things to tell them. Just understand self and don't allow people to dictate who you are.
Mm, true. I love it. I love it. That's, whoa, hold on. Okay, I'm just making sure I didn't mute my mic. I purposely left it open because I realized that I was talking without unmuting, and I don't really get nervous. So the fact that I'm nervous right now tells me that this is a big deal, you know? And I am really grateful that you made the time out to join us. I'm even more grateful that you wrote that amazing book. I would love for you to plug the first book right now, real quick, please. And then show us the cover for for I See You Brother again. And then I'm
All
gonna
right.
bring
So
in Sensei so we could hear another divine masculine share his experiences as we are awakening balance.
all right. So let's do this is the cover of I See You, Brother. All right. Maybe that glared in the way. Sorry. There we go. A little bit better. There. Um, and then the first book is When the Lights Are Brightest, Reinvention of Self After Sports, right here. And that one's just talking about recreating who you are after your career is done. Because oftentimes we lose us in what we're doing. So that book covers a bunch of different athletes, um, professional athletes, and talking about their stories of recreating themselves after they were done playing sports. So
I think you already had I think you knew you were gonna write this book without knowing you were gonna write this book. Because that's a very touchy topic, recreating yourself after sports.
look, although the book um, says after sports, it's a topic that everybody can use, right? You go through divorces, you go through health problems, you go through so many different things. Like you have to constantly recreate yourself because if you stayed the same, you're not succeeding to be honest. You're always constantly learning, you're always having to change. So in those moments of those big traumatic dramatic type situations where you might lose yourself, reinventing yourself is the way to go. So you're muted. Oh, there you go.
Am I muted? Okay. So can we get the book in the camera? Yes. One more time. Gratitude. I see you, brother, when the lights are brightest. Follow David Bronson when the ink dries for all his written works and to stay in touch and to reach out to him just in case you want to speak on. Listen, that book, I See You, Brother, I feel like we need to have powwows for that book, like monthly powwows. Yeah, man, we need that. We need that. We need that. We need that. We definitely need that. But I'm grateful that you could join us today, and I'm excited for everything that is to come, especially when we take the book on the road later this year in the holiday season. The holiday season is a tough time for everyone's mental health, but for sure, I'm looking forward to us reaching the ones that need that extra safe space to let their heart sing, whether it's a bluesy song of pain or a joyful song, Dancing in the Rain. I'm excited for all of it. We're doing 4 cities, unless we get more sponsors that want to bring us out to more cities. But for sure, I'm grateful
We
for,
getting flued out.
I mean, it would be nice if we got flew out to multiple cities, not just Atlanta, Houston, Los Angeles, and Miami. Hint, hint. So, so yeah, I'm excited for all of this, and let's just keep doing our due diligence in this way, because it's the little steps that we're taking that are the big steps, and we're paving a path in the jungle, you know That when you walking through the jungle for the first time, there's no path. But you walk and I walk behind you and somebody else walk and we keep walking the same path, there will be a path there for others to find easily. So as we pioneer these paths, these paradigms of being and being whole within and knowing that we're already whole and embracing our wholeness as we explore our wholeness. I see you, brother. Gratitude. Sensei, I'm so grateful that you have been patient with us this whole time. How are you doing this evening, sir?
Peace, peace, peace. What's the goddamn deal, Lisa? How I brush peace to the brother, man. Nice to meet you, David. Nice to meet you, brother.
Yes, how you doing, sir?
I'm well. I'm chilling on it. I'm just preparing for some things over here. I was doing some stuff in the background as I was listening to you all.
I know you're always working. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Working on some herbal regimens over here.
I was about to say, I know you're working on that healing for us. I could feel it. It's like I could smell the herbs or something. Because I was really gonna say you're showing the world that men are healers too, but I didn't want to just assume you were working on the herbs in the background. So talk to me about the herbs. What are you working on today? Before we even get into this awakening balance, let's show off. Let's show off, Sensei. Show off on them for me, please.
Well, I actually have a brother who just hit me up, and he's an older brother, so he's in his late 60s. But very youthful brother. He turned vegan probably about less than 10 years ago, I think. So he's just kind of dealing with some B12 things, some things going on in his blood, some early indicators that he got some basically like prostate things going on, of course, that happens to us later on in life. So I'm
Mhm.
going to help feed his prostate, help boost his immune system, help boost his vitality. So I'm going to give him a couple little things that's good for men, like some saw palmetto, one thing that's excellent for the prostate and also for men's erectile dysfunction and all that kind of shit. I'm going to give him some alfalfa. I'm also give them a couple more herbs that's gonna be kind of baseline herbs, of course, some dandelion and some burdock and things like that. But I'm gonna kind of cleanse him from. It's not. I'm gonna be kind of doing an enrichment for him. I'm not gonna so much as cleanse him, but I'm gonna nourish his system per se.
Mm.
So I'm gonna do a little oat straw, a little lemon balm, and things like that for his nervous system. Things like that. So, yeah, I got a little things in store for him. So he's gonna be on probably about a 4-month regimen.
Beautiful. That is beautiful. I love that it's it's a 4-month regimen as opposed to a microwave society, insta fix overnight. No, we're cultivating a new state of being that is healthful. Am I putting words in your mouth?
Nah, you're right. And it's also a lot of what David was just talking about, even taking that journey within and knowing the self. So
Mhm.
those type of things take time. So healing is a inside job
Facts.
in every level.
That's a fact. Wow.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's get into it officially. This is Sensei 9. It's healing time. In case you don't know, Sensei is a multi-dimensional master teacher. I mean, he's, as you can tell, very proficient and prolific with the herbs. I would love my own personal tea stash, but I'm going to be patient for that. Outside of that, he allows you through his gifts to get to know yourself multidimensionally, your cosmic blueprint, your cosmic DNA. So while we're talking about awakening balance today, it's interesting because Sensei, you know how I go. I'm not an astrologer, but I listen carefully, right? And when I hear that certain things need to be done by a certain time with a certain urgency in a meditation, I don't get it. And then a day like today happens when I hear that Venus just changed signs and Pluto is direct. And I'm just like, wait a minute. Are we awakening balance today for real? Are we shifting paradigms and declaring and putting our foot down and standing on business on a day like this? This is some divine timing now, isn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, better goddamn know it is. So yeah. Now, so we got a couple other things going on, going on in the cosmos. So it's a
I'm gonna let you tell it. Why is today the perfect day for us to share this message into all the realms for awakening balance, not just the balance within, but to neutralize this silly gender war that's out of control.
you know, it's not a coincidence because even just listening to David speak, which just sounds like a very profound book, I'm gonna have to check that book out. Um, but just understanding that play of masculine and feminine and how astrology can tell you a story of what that looks like. So one of the main things is you're talking about Libra season. Libra season is all about balance. All right. So the energy of Libra represents that we're dealing with the energy of Mayat from Kemetic science, right? Or African mythology and all that good stuff. So the deity of Mayat is connected to Libra. And also you're dealing with the consort is called Tahuti or Thoth, right? So you're dealing with thoughts and you're dealing with how we manage those things. And kidneys are ruled by the energy of Libra. So our waters are connected to the ancestors. So this is memory, right? Now Libra deals with the evening or the time of the day when there's an equal balance, the time of the day when the sun is making way for the moon, right? So that beautiful sunset energy. When you see a nice equilibrium of a beautiful array of the sun and the nighttime has yet to set in, right? From dusk to dawn type shit, right? So that energy is a representation of Aries and Libra itself. Aries represents the first time of the day, right? The original, the first hour when we begin to awaken, right? Because the first house in the zodiac. So the energy of Libra represents the seventh house in the zodiac. So that axis is all about love and war, the self and everybody else. Aries is the self, Libra is how you balance that out with everybody else. So Libra rules how you bring in integration because everything ain't about you. So that's why the ruler of Libra being Venus, right? Because true love is about something falling. So when your love for something falls, and it goes back, I'm talking about even, just to tie it into what David was talking about with his book, because, being able to kind of go into that feminine principle, because that is what your body represents, being able to feel something, right? So I tell people it's only two emotional aspects that we can find ourselves in, or two things that will compel human beings to embrace or into transformation. That would be love and death, right? So the energy of Libra can bring some graceful energy, right? And you talking about balancing out something about the me with the we. I just did a workshop on this. And when you talking about not knowing yourself, it's always going to be challenging for you to integrate as a masculine, as a man, realizing that I was looking for my mother and my lovers, right? Having to actually sit with myself and and get to know myself, you know what I'm saying? Getting to see myself, right? Beyond the things I've gathered, right? Because when love lives in your head, it's gonna equate to conflicts and natural war. When you are the love that you've been seeking, when it's in your heart, that's when everything you do becomes an act of love. So that energy of Libra and Aries can be like love is an action. I say that love is not an action, love is what you can become. So this time, if you can't go up the ladder, right? Because you need balance to get up the ladder. Balance leads you to harmony. It leads you to wholeness. So a lot of us can be imbalanced. We can be all over the place. Our masculinity can be wounded. It can be hurt. It can be so caught up in fighting. This is why a lot of women want to live a soft life, right? So this whole thing is also you dealing with values, you dealing with social norms. Libra can also deal with contractual agreements, verbal or even handwritten. You done signed on something. It's what you touch and agree on in this life, right? It's what you say yes to, you know? So our ability to commit to something versus feeling like it is a burden, right? Because a lot of time we commit to these jobs, we commit to these relationships, and then we begin to feel burdened by the very same thing that we thought was going to bring us a sense of wholeness. So nothing outside of us will ever fulfill us, So it is a beautiful time, a beautiful day, to even talk about this because, a lot of us are a lot of people, I would say, in humanity are now trying to achieve some level of balance, but they doing it mentally. Libra season brings the fall of man. So that's why we're going into the equinox, right? So the fall equinox is going to be the equal time of the equal day and equal night. We just passed that, right? Within the energy of September. So the energy of Virgo leads us into Libra, which becomes the equinox, right? So it's all about equality, right? And that's honoring, basically stop condemning yourself. A lot of our imbalance is because we're measuring ourselves by somebody else's outside judgments of what they think or what they feel. And that begins to affect the way we show up and the way we be ourselves. So if you don't harmonize this one relationship, because I tell people the longest relationship you're gonna have in this life is with your goddamn self. So in this time that we're in with Pluto going direct, but a lot of these things happen. It's like within the void, you have to affirm that I am infinite, you know? So being able to kind of find that self, because Aquarius brings a lot of the collective boundlessness and the aspects of where we want to be the rebel and we want to be free, right? But what are we freeing ourselves from? So liberation is an inside job. So the aspect of Aries and Libra can be like some people search for love is actually a search for freedom, right? So as we move from a place of sacrifice, we can move from a place of being selfish to learning to be selfless. Because a lot of us don't know what it means to be selfish. We've been living a life of sacrifice too goddamn long. Now people struggling with being selfish. This what's been happening since COVID. It's been going on since 2017. We can even go back to 2012. We can even go back to 2007. We're in an eclipse season right now. All right. So these are cycles that are nothing happens overnight. A mudslide don't happen overnight. You get what I'm saying? So the shadow side of humanity is being revealed. You're gonna need some balance for the times that are where as you go through the underworld, because that's what Pluto is about. So a lot of people are having to embrace that they are the alchemist. You need some balance to be the alchemist out here now, you know, because you can't undo you can't unfeel what you felt. You can't unhear what you've heard. You can't unfeel. You cannot take away the things that your body and your memory has gathered in this life. These are the things that we're balancing. So this is why most human beings suffer from imagination and memory, right? So once you sit with yourself and you harmonize this one thing, that individual aspect can literally open up a lot of doors to the possibilities that it means to be human. So it's the time where I've been telling people it's time to fall in love with being human. We don't fell in love with every other goddamn thing. So a lot of these gender wars, what we're watching is something that's just playing out on the surface because at the core, a lot of people are at war with themselves. So when somebody's at war with themselves and it's hard for them to sit with the self, it's only a natural consequence that they come out and start to deflect that. So the more you liberate yourself and the more you vibrate on your own individuality, right, you begin to see how many people are out here deflecting. So it is a place for a lot of people to have to really embrace, but meeting people where they are, all that good stuff. So the Libra new moon is coming up. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of these things are going to be coming into more of a culmination, especially as we go into Scorpio season, which is going to be all about transformation and death and rebirth and all that good shit. So yes, this season is going to be asking us a lot about ourselves, a lot about our quick actions, a lot about their relationship with contracts and the things that we have said yes to in this life. So it's a beautiful time to sit and reflect with the self. You know what I'm saying? Like, asking yourself what would fair look like, if neither people said a final say or had a final say, right? How can you allow yourself to be fully present for an experience without expecting an outcome? That's why true love equates to freedom. And I'm gonna end with this because it was something that David said that was so beautiful when he talked about the aspects of the flower, right? So instead of raising a flower, it's time to cultivate that. So if we allow ourselves to blossom instead of picking the flower all the goddamn time, trying to possess it, you know what I'm saying? Learning the power of observation, just allowing these thoughts and these emotions to just flow, knowing that you are not your mind, you are not your body, you will achieve some sense of balance. I guarantee you that.
Appreciation.
And remember, the
Learn to
word
just appreciate.
appreciation is not just in this moment. I'm gonna appreciate you even more tomorrow when I look at you again. Because appreciation also means growing in value, recognizing an increase in value.
And you know what it also reflects? A sense of presence. You can't appreciate nothing if you're not present to be experiencing it. Beyond your likes and your dislikes of it. Beyond you wanting to pluck it and take it home. Beyond you wanting to just say something. If you're able to just sit with something and allow it to just be. You get what I'm saying? Like, so a lot of us want to just be. Well, you gotta learn how to let some shit be. So Scorpio season gonna teach us that we gotta let some shit die in order for that to happen. So for a lot of people, they get into relationships, and then that's why relationships can feel like they can bring grief. It can feel like something physically is dying. So a lot of people are rebirthing certain parts of themselves. That's why you done seen a lot of people leave relationships over the last few years.
Ooh,
To me, am I really honoring the fact that I am life, or am I living my life doing the shit that I done gathered? That's the imbalance.
Sensei did not come to play today. Drops mic. It's the awakening balance for me. Wow.
Hmm.
I don't really think I have anything to say. I just want to say for everybody watching, this is divine masculinity in action. You just saw two different versions of an exemplification of divine masculinity. And I feel the force, I feel the strength, and I'm eager to see how this plays out, because with the way you broke down the astrology of it, it's like we're at a tipping point right now, for real, and nothing will be the same after this. Everything already changed already, you know?
Exactly. And a lot of people have been fighting for a sense of normalcy. This is a resistance to change. So what you resist will persist in your life. So with Pluto going direct, it's going to illuminate all the things that you've been resisting on a deep psychological level. So this is authority through integration, not domination, you know? So this is access to your own inner resources. Because to do the things that David talked about, to be able to, when you walk away, because that's Libra energy, walking away from a relationship. Your job is a relationship, right? A person, your car, a possession. We have a lot of relationships with things in this life that we feel like if we lose it, we lose ourselves, right? So in order to know the self, a lot of times you got to go through some pressure to do that shit. You have to, adversity builds character, you know? So, being able to understand that you taking on many roles in your life. That is the I am of Aries. The I am that I am, right? That's the first name of God, but that ain't this type of Zoom. So, when we talking about the I am that I am, right? Because what you put behind that becomes you, right? So when you're able to take on that role of just being yourself, everywhere you go, there you go, right? Everywhere you go, that's where you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So you become a walking solution in this life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You become somebody that sees our problems as possibilities because nothing is imbalanced. Everything is as it's supposed to be. You're not fighting against things, trying to change it, trying to force things. There is no force, there's only flow, right? So there is a vibrational mass that you begin to move on because the material ripple, sometimes with your finance or the structural things, these opportunities arrive, and then you got to integrate. And then that one day you're gonna have to walk away from it. You're gonna have a last day in everybody's life, everybody gonna have a last day in yours. So are you present for that day though? Because if you're not present for that day, you weren't present for the experience itself. So this is why a lot of us fight when it's time to go, because you weren't present for the experience.
Ooh, goodness. Um, being present is the gift that keeps on giving. In presence, we have appreciation, direction. I'm just picking up what you're putting down. So I was moved to share the intention for today's D-Slam. You know, I'm playing with the acronym, Daily Self-Love Affirmations Message. I just need a cool way to say what I do every day. So today's Daily Self-Love Affirmations Message, this is the title. It's for us to have a Moon Day self-love message to embrace graceful endings for magnificent new beginnings of joyful prosperity. And the reason I even brought that up is because you mentioned having access to all our internal resources right now. And with the endings and the new beginnings that come with the endings, and not fighting to let go. So as we and I check out the astrology for each day when I do these intentions. So that's how I found out about Pluto and Venus today. So before we close out, pardon me, I just wanna ask you about that part of embracing graceful endings for magnificent new beginnings of joyful prosperity. And how we can use the awakening of that balance within as we're practicing presence and appreciation of self and everything else. Because I feel like even in tumultuous times, a setback is a setup for a step up. Everything is always perfect in my book, you know, alchemist style. Everything in life is straw, waiting to be turned into gold, you know? Just gotta let the situation unfold, you know? So without getting too hype and starting a whole nother conversation, because you know how exciting we could get. I just want us to recognize the state of the culture as we're awakening balance right now, Sensei. And I'm gonna give you the mic for you to close us out in the way you know how, with a drop mic energy, because you know that. The fighting to let go because you weren't being present is still ricocheting through my membrane. My synapses are snapping for that one.
Now, you know, it's a lot of even what you see, right? Because when we're able to embrace the presence of a lot of things, it allows us to show up for it. See, it allows us to be adjustable. It allows you to recognize that maybe things ain't as fucked up as you think it is. Because we human, we figuring it all out. Don't nobody got all this shit figured out. So when we allow something to die, see, when we dealing with this aspect of being boundless, because a lot of us are taught we create boundaries only to look for something to liberate us. So a lot of our boundaries are to make us feel some sense of safety so we can finally let our guards down. So is it really a boundary that people want? Is it really balance? Is all you want is balance? Because when you're talking about balance, right? You know, balance, you need some balance to kind of walk across a tightrope. So when you're talking about trying to balance, that means you're afraid of falling. Now, it's very key to being able to have the practice of walking across the tightrope. But the ultimate achievement is trusting that I'm okay with falling. See, something got to die in order for you to do that. See, a lot of people won't taste the true sweetness of love because they're afraid. So what's on the other side of fear? See, if you're living your life in fear, that's when you're living your life in condemnation. And now you're not expressing yourself to your highest expression because that fear becomes your master. So when you're talking about death, that is access to wholeness. See, death is your portal to expansion. See? See, power equals your energy reclaimed from fear. You get what I'm saying? So only through the shadow is where you will acknowledge your light. So when you're talking about everything that you just said, being able to invite that in, not being attached to a certain outcome, right? Instead of asking why me, you ask what identity is being exposed about me that I can reflect on, you know? So when you begin to talking about embracing that wholeness so we can move into abundance, abundance is your birthright, you know? So you got to feel that. A lot of us are so afraid to feel. A lot of us get caught up in the muck of trying to think our way out of things. Everything doesn't deserve a definition. Everything doesn't need to be figured out. That's your mind trying to figure it out. So the boundless aspect, when you're talking about the psychology and the power of feeling powerless, right? It is only in our moments of powerlessness when we begin to relinquish it to something else. So that boundless self emerges when you stop fighting for control and start beginning to bring in and steward more power as a flow, not as a possession. You don't have to possess power. You are power. See, you don't have to possess love. You are love. See, so the domination is supposed to lead to magnetism. The fear leads to curiosity. The obsession leads to your commitment to transformation. And any type of business or whatever you're doing, if you're not willing to transform, you're not gonna be relevant. You'll turn into a pillar of salt like roof around this motherfucker. See. So when you talking about being able to walk through the shadow of the valley of death and not fearing no evil, you know. So when you talking about being able to understand that the law of alchemy and what is fixed, fix what is volatile, and volatilize what is fixed. See. Because what is love without passion? What is anger without passion? What is hot without cold? These are the balances. These are the polarities. We're experiencing the same energy on two different ends of the goddamn spectrum. So if you're able to embrace the contradictions of life, because we're living and dying at the same goddamn time, it's gonna bring you more presence. You know what I'm saying? So asking yourself, what is it that is keeping you powerless? Because it is something that you're giving your power to, right? So, boundlessness doesn't have to be solemn. You know what I'm saying? Like, see, the shadow work is like treasure hunting, Every fur hides a jewel, baby. So we celebrate endings as cosmic graduations around here. That's what's going on. You understand? So when you using your human, when things become when you find the laughter, even in the fucked up shit, how somebody it's Halloween time, right? Scorpio season, right? Imagine somebody going through a scary house and shit and they laughing, right? And now it's scary to everybody else, but it's fun to me because I know this ain't gonna kill me. See, are you able to know what you're going through ain't gonna kill you? You're gonna let the powers and the fear of your mind take over. These are your imbalances. So if you haven't got to the root of what's causing you to always be triggered by outside things, that is reflecting where you can meet yourself with your own light. See? See, when you're talking about evil, it isn't a monster, right? It's an unintegrated power. So if you made peace with your demons, you know, so walking through that energy and being able to do that in this life, it's some beautiful shit. That's why a lot of people can possess a lot of things and still not be happy, right? So stop chasing control, you know what I'm saying, or certainty. Endings don't terrify you, they should intrigue you, right? So when you're able to honor your boundaries, right, but aren't being imprisoned by them, you own something. See, so I would say, descend to rise, die to remember life, right? So face your shadows to embody your light, you know. So through this gateway of this energy that we've been experiencing, we done been through a lot of shit with COVID and the things that have happened. But all these things have not destroyed you. That means that they can liberate you, right? So allow these things that are lurking in your subconscious that you feel like that are weighing you down. Ask yourself if you were to release them, if you were to transmute them into something that you can utilize, how would you utilize that energy from a higher perspective? It's like the Erica Badu energy. It's time to drop them bags, baby. It's time to stop being the bag lady. So that is gonna require a lot of the femininity that is happening. The masculine and the feminine principle want to operate in wholeness. People want to split divinity in two now. Divine masculine and divine feminine. Before you was either one, you were divine first. So wholeness is something that you don't have to fight for. It's something you surrender to, right? So that's going to require that you drop your guards. That's going to require that you let go of some of your egocentric ass ways. That's going to require that you stop thinking that everything is about you so you can finally integrate yourself into something that can make you feel at home inside this motherfucking body. All right? Because when you understand Pluto and death, those represent the ultimate boundaries. We live and we gonna die. endings, power struggles, all this old type of shit. These are the ultimate things that we can feel like that bind us to this life. Or death can be your liberation. It's just all about how you view it and how you express yourself in this life. So express yourself, live your life to the fullest. Whatever it is you want to do it. Don't waste no time. So it's just like what they say in the church, right? Pastor Freddie Haynes down here in Dallas, Texas, right? He got a saying that he used to always trip me out, right? Don't hesitate, don't vacillate, come on down. So save yourself, don't hesitate, don't vacillate, go on within. All right. And if you need some help with that, get David's book, or you can book a reading with me, and I can definitely help you out with that. Or make sure that you tap in with this retreat that Lisa's putting on, because we definitely gonna be going in. All right.
That's a fact. What we will do is go deep. We're gonna go deep within. You're gonna find the Mariana Trench deep inside. If you want to rock with us, you're gonna be ready to see that inner depth. Don't hit us up unless you're ready to show up for yourself, okay? And remember, you can hit up David when the ink dries. You can get his book. Check out Sensei 9, sensei9.com.
It's divineselections.net.
Divineselections.net. But if you
Mm-hmm.
need to see Sensei, it's Sensei9 on all social media platforms because he's
Sensei_9 on all social media platforms.
Sensei_9 because he's been tapped into the divine feminine and the catalytic nature of creating effect without being affected like a true master teacher. I'm not gonna go in too deep, but this has been very beautiful, very lovely. Sensei was being modest about his ways that he can facilitate you getting to know yourself. So I'm going to list a few of the ways that I know of. You've already heard him expressing the herbal, how do I say, prescriptions? Because that's the only thing I could call it. He's going to give you a
Herbal.
whole multi-dimensional prescription to enrich your body from the inside out. But he can
Yes.
also help you with your cosmic blueprint by letting you understand what the sky looked like the moment you popped out of the pum pum and entered this realm. When you came here, in that moment, the heavens smiled and said, cheese. That's your birth chart. And he's into numerology and human design. Like I said, he's going to help you tap in with your cosmic blueprint because these are many ways that we can access deeper knowledge of self. The one thing we know about humans in this society for sure is that we've been lied to. So let us explore our truths. And I just want to testify real quick that everything Sensei said about releasing and the thing that you're fighting is their answer, because I was fighting something and I just gave in. And in the blink of an eye, it led to everything that I actually wanted, which is the power of feeling the way you feel, acknowledging that you feel the way you feel, asking yourself why you feel the way you feel, and seeing what that feeling is showing you about yourself. And that's how I've been awakened in my own personal balance. More testimony later. You already know all roads lead to Art of Healing Community Center. It is an honor to serve. I'm going to pass the mic to these amazing gentlemen. If they have any final words, David, I see you, brother. Shameless pun intended.
Man, I don't have much to say. I enjoyed listening to you, man. I enjoyed that. But like I said, just don't allow people to dictate who you are, who you're going to be, what you want to be, when to be it, and how to be it. So that's all I gotta say.
Now I love that because it's something simple that I love to say. You already know, Lisa. I appreciate that, brother. I enjoy listening to you as well. Stop saying yes with your lips and no with your heart. This is why we're talking about authenticity as a higher vibration in love. Now, y'all been seeing that reel going around, right? Like, So your authentic expression means that your heart becomes your true master. So I love to say, if you free your heart, your mind will follow. Namaste.
Namaste. Absolutely beautiful. Gratitude. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we look forward to hearing your own personal journeys of how you are awakening balance. It begins on the inside and it flows outwards.